people have so many perceptions of Africa and what it means. So what's the image that people have? You've got, poor child, distended belly because they're starving. You've got corrupt politician. You've got 28 million people with HIV/AIDS. Isn't that hopeless? Isn't that terrible? Money is donated by people to then pay for projects. So we have projects in education, we build classrooms, we get drugs, antiretroviral drugs for people with HIV/AIDS, we build a new health centre, we may even as a government fund governance projects, so we end up funding lots of different projects. The one common thread I realised is if all of these things don't have leadership, then nothing changes. One of the things we've discovered as we're talking with people is say, what do you think about leadership? What's the need? The thing they say is we need role models. We need more role models of good leaders. So it isn't that there aren't role models of good leaders in Africa. And we've called our strategy Leadership for Hope. Our belief is actually we can influence a generation, not just in one country, but across sub-Saharan Africa. So part of that period of time is we teach leadership. We teach the basic principles. At the end of that we say, great, now go and run a project in your community that demonstrates leadership. So what we do is we develop a generation of leaders who are already leading in their communities, and then out of that we select people who will then become trainers of leaders. In other words, they become the role models, so a generation of role models is produced. How can we take what are core principles of leadership and just offer them into the grassroots of the poorest of the poor communities in sub-Saharan Africa so that they are equipped to write their own stories? They've got the motivation. It's actually about working with people who have aptitude, have ability, and just then feeding into them some key principles around leadership. We met this lady called Mara. Mara is a lady who is HIV positive. She's a widow. She has 4 young children. Her situation was desperate. And we met Mara earlier on this year, and we were just talking to her, and she was sharing her story. But here is an amazing leader who is transforming a community. She is actually influencing a nation in terms of advocacy around the issue of HIV/AIDS. And now she is speaking internationally, but she still lives within her local community. Here is an example of a great leader.
Between testing positive and accessing treatment, there was a whole chapter that you had to go through. So because of that, and because I spent so much money, I started thinking about the area in which I live and say, okay, I was able to access because I had the capacity. What about the other woman who's just at home breaking rocks? But then I also realized that there are a lot of people out there, especially in Malawi, maybe due to cultural influences, that they cannot speak for themselves. So they need someone else to be their voice. We started going to the homes of the sick people and encouraging them to go for testing. As we persisted doing the work, some of them started now gaining back their strengths. So that's when the community actually accepted and were encouraged to cooperate and work with us as well. There are a lot of things that are affecting us as women. Most of us don't even know our rights. Malawi has got a very strong martial culture where the man is the know-it-all, he owns everything, you have got no say. And even if bad things happen to you, you don't know where to go. So we also come to talk to the women on those issues, and then also family planning. You have to fight on, and a good fight is always good, because at the end of the day you get what you want. And if I hadn't really fought, I wouldn't have been able to succeed.
So Mara is a great example of someone who does hit the news, and what Africa needs is just more role models of Maras in this world. One of the things that we've been looking there for is where can we make the difference in terms of leadership development. And what we're saying is, we don't need to invent good leadership, it's there. Let's find the Maras of this world. She took every problem and every obstacle and she said, how can I turn this around to benefit not just my community, but the nation as a whole? So in actually supporting emerging leaders and Leadership for Hope and the Mara project, you're actually helping Mara to train the next generation of leaders within her area. And as we run other projects, you'll be helping that person in that area to grow leaders in their districts. And together, those projects join up and change the conversation in a nation.